Well, welcome back everybody on board the Reinsurance podcast yacht, live from Monte, Carlo, 2023 rendezvous. Delighted to have on board with us Adam and Chris from Impact Forecasting at Aon, who are going to give us a really detailed view, I think, on some of the loss activity we've been seeing, but also some of the exciting things that you're doing at Aon as well. So welcome on board, welcome on the show.
Thanks.
How's your Monte Carlo so far?
Well, it has been great.
Busy.
We had lots of meetings coming on Monday and lots of meetings coming tomorrow as well. So this is a great part of it. Thank you for the invitation.
No, you're most welcome. And what we really wanted to do was to learn from the experts here when it comes to things like events in particular and how we manage those as they're happening effectively, and then afterwards. We're also going to come on to, I think, the US SCS at some point on this conversation, and something around climate as well and climate collaboration. So should we start at the beginning with the event stuff? Who's best placed to kick us off?
Should I take it?
Go on.
I'll take it. So when we speak about event response, what I think is quite important and a new development in the past years is really that we can react very quickly to things. So the clients don't want to be really browsing through websites, logging into things. So what we have done, think about it as a weather forecasting turned into loss forecasting.
Oh, cool.
So when there is an active hurricane in the area, and we do hurricanes, Japanese typhoons, and also European windstorms, we're basically tracking the event. We'll be taking the weather forecasts and turning it into loss forecast. So for example, there was a Hurricane Idalia just recently, which fortunately didn't cause lots of damage. It was good. But when the hurricane was 5 days ahead from landfall, we were already basically tracking the event, and with roughly 400 portfolios loaded in our systems of different insurance companies, we're able to produce loss forecasts every 6 hours.
Wow.
So every 6 hours, if you are a client, you'll be basically getting an email from us saying what the loss could be. What could be the loss for the NHC track? What could be the loss from another 10 models? What will be the median? You can go very techy, or you can be very, very simple. So we actually have two types of reports. One is like a detailed one, and then we create a daily digest for, let's say, once a day.
Yeah, I can imagine it must be incredibly useful to the people having to deal with it, but also CEOs who are getting peppered with questions as a hurricane's heading towards them. You know, if you're able to give them an update every few hours on how it's going, that must be incredibly valuable.
And the CEO really, they want to know, they want to look at the email. Within probably 5 seconds, they want to see is the loss potential going up or down, and they don't need to spend more than 5 seconds on it. And then other people can do more detailed work.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I guess maybe that's a nice segue into one of the other topics. So obviously everyone's talking about climate change and how it's potentially worsening events frequency and severity and so on. What's going on with the climate collaboration theme that you mentioned?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, thanks, Ben. So we're doing a number of things really. So all the models we build as a catastrophe model developer, all the atmospheric peril models, we're thinking about current climate. So we're including current climate obviously in the models and making sure the models are fit for the current climate. But we're also bringing in, with our collaborations with different universities, a number of future climate scenarios. So thinking about different time horizons, different emission scenarios as well, and bringing those into the models. So we have a partnership with Columbia University around tropical cyclone. So that looks at, to start with for US hurricane, thinking about different time horizons, different emissions, and also how the events themselves might change. So not just thinking about whether the frequency changes, but also how the events themselves, if there's a difference in the amount of rainfall in the event, the amount of flood, as well as wind. And then from that we'll take that onwards to think more through Japan typhoon and also looking at Australia as well.
Nice.
So that's some of the work. And then I guess existing climate, we have partnerships with universities like Carlo Institute of Technology, and building out what we're doing around wind, flood and severe convective storms. So having a common event set for all those weather perils to think about the linkages of the events basically.
Very exciting, and hopefully that will give more confidence to all types of stakeholder in the industry when they know that gap that we've talked about for a few years now, that have we really taken into account climate change, is being addressed by you guys. So glad to hear it's being tackled with the experts from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
awesome. And then one other topic we wanted to cover was the US severe convective storm side of things as well, where I understand you've got some other new things going on. You must be a huge team to be able to be doing all these things at once, but
We're quite sizable team, so altogether impact forecasting is roughly 140 people
Wow.
across the globe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sizable, and roughly half of the people will be model developers.
Yeah.
So with the people who are already doing the models. So yeah, we have a couple of years back embarked on updating our USSCS model. So that will be all the basically sub-perils as we usually have in the model, and we have really went quite deep, and it's not just a model update, it's a brand new model with all the components are being new. So that's coming for release sometimes early to the market, early next year. We are already in the stage of evaluating the model, but of course it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So, and on top of it, as you know, SCS has been also quite big in Europe. There have been some events in France. So, and we already have a French or European SCS model.
Yeah.
So we really use the opportunity if there are some events happening to calibrate the model, validate it, and we actually came with a little model update for France as well. So that's coming out now.
Very exciting.
Yeah, and on the severe convective storm, the same as flood. I guess it's about building the detailed model to begin with, so that it can be used for direct underwriting as well as reinsurance pricing as well. So that both the kind of individual risk view and the whole portfolio view. So there's a lot of work going on, not by us but by our model development colleagues. Yeah.
I'm sure you're being hounded by everybody here to get the latest as you go around the conference. So hope you have an amazing rest of the conference, guys. But thanks so much for coming on board to give us a sneak preview, and I'm sure people could reach out to you directly to find out more as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. Any final thoughts to say to our audience?
Go on.
No. One thing maybe I will say, because we spoke about climate change, and there is always a hazard part to the climate change, which it's much harder to control. Of course, as humans, we can control it, okay, long term. But there is also let's say the more like the behavior change. The fact that we can, for example, the flood defenses will change, the exposure can change, and these things are more under our control, and they are, let's say, changeable within short time horizon.
Yeah.
So I think if everyone doing work for climate change, our advice will be always to consider the hazard part of it, but also, especially for flood, how the flood defenses will evolve, how the exposure will evolve. And I think these things really could be controlled by insurance companies and by people themselves, by building in places which are not too exposed and so on. Yeah. So that will be probably final thoughts.
Wonderful food for thought to wrap us up. Well, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you around the conference.
Thank you
very much. Cheers.